This is a real treat to have Spencer Mayer sit down for a moment. He is the resident winemaker at Karlo Estates Winery in Prince Edward County, and you are one heck of a busy guy. Let's talk about rosé, shall we?
All right, sounds good.
So you just released these two rosés. You've got two at Karlo Estate, and we're going to talk about the Patio Reserve first.
Yeah, so that's our most popular. It's definitely one of our most popular wines in the entire portfolio. It's always a bestseller for us. And it's one that we've been making for a little while. Since I've been here, at least, it's been an assemblage kind of style. So it's kind of been a fun wine for us to make and play around with. Um, so I don't know if you wanted to just jump into the technical aspects of it or
Tell
yeah.
me a little bit more about what assemblage means. It might be a term that not very many of our viewers are familiar with.
Okay, well, when you're talking about rosé and making different types of rosés, an assemblage is kind of you're making a rosé by mixing white wines and red wines together. So, some people might call that cheating. Other people might call that, even more interesting and adding kind of depth and layers, to the potential wines that you can create. And we do make quote unquote proper rosés here at Karlo as well. So, it kind of affords us this unique opportunity to kind of play around a little bit, with the rosé winemaking style and kind of make something that's a little unique to us and something that we like to make and play around with from vintage to vintage. So this is our 2021 Patio Reserve Rosé. And this particular rosé is kind of a interesting versus all the previous vintages that we've done because it's actually got four different grape varietals in it. So this one's
Four.
got,
Which four?
yeah, there's four different grape varietals in this one. So when you're talking assemblage, we kind of we took that to the extreme in this vintage. So, before it would be, one white wine, one red wine, and then, call it a day and move on. And then eventually we started adding three different grape varieties or starting to use three grape varieties, and that kind of added another layer of complexity. And then we took that another step further, and now we're doing it with four different grape varieties. So with this 2021, it's actually a blend of Semillon, Gewürztraminer, Pinot Gris, and Malbec. So you've got all four of those different grape varietals in there, and they're all kind of lending something different and unique to the wine. So a whole nother level of complexity for Patio Reserve.
That's a really cool combination. I haven't heard of any blend or assemblages like that before, especially for making rosé. How did you come up with that?
Well, I gotta admit, you kind of have to also use what you have. And, historically speaking, these are a lot of great varietals that we have used as blending components in the past. Traditionally, our rosé has been a base of Semillon. So that's kind of something that's been, I guess, consistent from vintage to vintage. But with the addition of the Gewürztraminer in previous vintages, and then we're adding another layer with that Pinot Gris in there, Malbec's always kind of been the red wine component for our Patio Reserve because we find the Malbec doesn't have too much tannic component to it, so it doesn't have too much of that lending to the rosé. You kind of want to keep it crisp and smooth and easy drinking and more fruity and fruit forward than you want anything else. So we found Malbec was that perfect wine, especially when you're adding just a little splash, to kind of drive it into the rosé territory. So that's why we go with Malbec. But with the Pinot Gris, Pinot Gris to me is like one of the best blending component white wines that you can possibly use for any wine, really, because it really has interesting texture. And I think texturally, Pinot Gris is a very interesting grape variety. So in this context, I think the Pinot Gris kind of adds a little more extra smoothness and a little more mouthfeel and a little more weight and richness to the wine than we have had in previous vintages. It is only 5 grams per liter of residual sugar, so it's not too off the charts as far as sweetness goes. And that's kind of how we like things. We tend to make more dry wines than sweet wines here at Karlo, unless you're talking fortified. So,
Right.
but yeah, the Pinot Gris we got really excited with in this vintage because it really was interesting texturally speaking, and we wanted to kind of play around with it and see what it could lend to the blend. So, yeah,
Fantastic. Well, cheers on that.
yeah.
And
Cheers. Sure.
What a joy to actually showcase your wine just so soon after you have released it. And that's what I love about rosé is there's that energy and excitement of when to coming out, and then it's only available for a short period of time because you make such a limited number of bottles.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure. And
how many bottles did you make this year of this one?
sorry.
How many bottles did you make this year of this particular wine?
So as far as bottles are concerned, it's actually one of the largest productions that we've done. So every year that we make this wine, we actually have to up our production numbers because it sells out so quickly. And we always have to account for more sales, more foot traffic coming to the winery, more offsite events and sales. And, we have to keep boosting the numbers, as far as the 2021 patio reserve goes, we're getting up into, we're getting close to 6,000 bottles.
Wow.
Yeah, so and I know that doesn't sound like a huge number, but for one SKU in a large portfolio, because we are known for having a lot of different wines to meet everybody's tastes, that's pretty big for us. So we're pretty excited about making more of and giving the people what they want. So I'm definitely happy to have more of it around myself because it's definitely something that everybody, including myself, enjoys. So.
Well, and certainly with more people coming to visit now as well. And it's a beautiful wine just to sit on your patio as you're looking out onto the vineyard and into the beautiful landscape that you have at your heritage barn. It's beautiful location to just sip on rosés. And there you have two to choose from. Tell us a little bit about the other one then.
Okay, so pour myself a glass and kind of nose as I talk here and kind of wax poetic as far as rosé goes here. So this is our
Now, this one has quite a bit of a cult following.
Yeah,
I know.
correct. So Frontenac Gris Rosé for us is a very special wine because this is one that we make from just two rows in our vineyard here on the estate. And something that we're a little known for here is making really premium, ultra premium wines with our hybrid varietals. And Frontenac Gris Rosé is no exception. This is a wine that I've been excited about since I've joined on back in 2017. So this is my sixth vintage making wine here at Karlo, and this is one of the wines that I always get really excited about because it is such a small micro lot, even dare I say a nano lot of wine that we make here because it is only from those two rows. And
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
so fun and just so consistent from year to year. And it's just always so it's just like a really fun wine to make. So this wine is different from the Patio Reserve Rosé, as this is a wine that we call a Tentiré style rosé. So because it is a hybrid, it's got a little bit of color in the pulp of the grapes, and then we play around with a little bit of skin contact, and that's how you get this nice, beautiful orangey kind of ambery kind of color to the wine. So it is a very light colored rosé, but that's also in vogue right now. So we kind of also kind of played on that a little bit and played around with that limited amount of skin contact to get just the perfect wine. So I mean, it's just so beautiful. I love this wine. And
So what kind of aromas do you get off of the nose as you're swirling it?
so this one really kind of just jumps right out of the glass. I mean, it's a really strong smell, and that's conducive to the hybrid grape varietals, and Frontenac not being an exception. And it's just got that really like candied kind of strawberry, kiwi, rhubarb kind of. You almost get like a hard candy, cotton candy kind of note like jumping out
Oh,
of there.
cool.
So it smells sweet, but when you taste it on the palate, because it is a hybrid, it's got quite high acid. So it's got about the same amount of residual sugar as the Patio Reserve, sitting at around 5. But because the acid is a little bit higher, it comes off as being a much drier rosé than the Patio Reserve. So this is kind of more of like a rosé geeks kind of rosé, dare I say, because of that high acid content. So yeah, it comes off as being more juicy and crisp and refreshing. And like I say, it's one of my favorites. Never make enough of it. Like there's only 2 rows in the vineyard. So, this one always disappears so quick. So actually you guys at the Savvy Rosé event, you have access to the last 60 bottles of this wine. We released this a couple months ago, and we're already on the verge of selling out completely. So this is a very, like you say, a cult following wine, and people are just waiting, You know, every single vintage that we release it, they're waiting at the door for the second that it hits the shelf. So
Well, thank you for saving those bottles for us, and we really appreciate that. Going back to the patio reserve, then,
absolutely. Yeah.
tell me a little bit about the characteristics of the aromas and flavors on that wine, because
Um,
we've talked a lot about the aromas and flavors of the other wine.
yeah,
Uh,
for sure. So the Patio Reserve Rosé, you know, because it is a blend and because it is an assemblage, we're going for consistency from vintage to vintage. So this wine is very consistent in the red fruit characteristics that it exudes. Obviously, it's going to be a little more subtle, and it's going to be a little more, you know, more typical of most rosés that you try from, you know, region to region, winery to winery. It's just like a big bowl of red fruit. To me, it's like a big bowl of red fruit, not overripe, you know, not too ripe, of like your raspberries, your cherries, a little bit of watermelon in there,
oh, nice.
strawberries, you know, basically, like I say, a big bowl of red fruit, every fruit of the color red that you can imagine, all kind of tucked together, and not overly too ripe. So,
And
you
I
know,
know you like your food, and you tour around Prince Edward County, especially visiting all kinds of different restaurants and supporting local. What are some of the foods that you would recommend to have with this patio reserve?
so one of the things that we like to talk about when it comes to the Patio Reserve is just how versatile it is, and it is a super versatile wine because it just
Yeah.
has that perfect alcohol level. It's got that nice mid off dry kind of sugar level, and the flavors and the aromas so like just kind of complement itself so well to so many different types of foods. You know, so just as an example, like I would say, you know, fresh salad, you know, especially if it is a salad that had like a little cut up strawberry in there. And we are a vegan winery, so we like to talk about vegan food pairings for the most part. So if you had like, you know, say like a vegan feta or like a vegan fresh cheese, you know, in that salad, you know, with maybe some like walnuts or something like that, you know, because like I say, it can complement so many different types of food. So you're talking a little bit of sweet, a little bit of bitter, you know, if it had a little bit of like vinaigrette kind of dressing, you know, it kind of tempers the vinegar kind of notes, which is a hard one to pair with, because it is got that, you know, mid profile where it can kind of complement everything. So so yeah, I would say fresh salads, like summer salads for sure. And then like, you know, if you're talking about like a vegan cheese and nut and charcuterie type board, you know, I think it would be a perfect complement to that as well. So it's basically what I would say a perfect cocktail wine, you know. So if you're entertaining guests and you have, you know, large plates and large bowls of everything and everybody's kind of getting in there and helping themselves, this is the perfect wine, you know, to serve, you know, to complement that. I mean, the name Patio Reserve Rosé, it says it in the name. So
Great. Well, and you know what? I will be enjoying this wine on my deck um, throughout the summer, and remembering fondly of visits with you and Derek and Sherry and Sax, who are all familiar faces. For those of you who haven't been to Prince Edward County to visit Karlo Estate, it's a must. And be sure to try this wine and all of your other wines, including, well, maybe not the Frontenac Gris Rosé if there isn't going to be much left. So,
there's still a few
uh,
bottles left in retail here. So if you get down really quickly, as in like in the next few days, you might still be able to snag a bottle or two.
Spencer, it's a delight, and it's great to see you grow as the winery grows and taste the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into these wines as you make them at Karlo Estate. So, congratulations and keep up the great work, and we'll see you in a little bit.
All right, thank
Take
you.
care.